Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is The Jeff Crilley Show.
This show is all about giving back, and millennials and Gen Z is really they're generations that I think put service above self, and who better to talk to about that than Morgan Bryant? She's a missionary to Honduras, and Jenny Brady. You're one of the inspirations. You're with Prestonwood Christian Academy in Plano. Know it well. Who inspired Morgan? So let's start with you, Morgan. How did this journey begin?
So it actually started with Jenny. I went to Prestonwood Christian Academy. It's where I graduated from. And my freshman year there, she was taking a mini-master trip, which is a week where they send students all over the world, really, just for a week of service in different places. And I signed up for this trip to Honduras without really a reason. I just said, hey, this sounds good, I'll go. And so I got on the trip, and 2 of those days we visited an orphanage there. And I knew that I wanted to keep coming back. And so I just stayed connected to Jenny, and she let me come back in the summers, and she would organize trips with me. And it's been 8 years since then.
Wow. Okay, Jenny, let's talk about that. Is that part of the curriculum at Prestonwood?
It is. It's a really neat aspect of our curriculum. It's one thing to learn in the classroom, but then to take what we're learning outside into the world is a different application of what they're learning. And so it's something that we value. We do it the week before spring break, and kids get to sign up on different trips literally all over the world and in the United States. And so it's a lot of fun.
I would say that every generation is kind of a throwback. So like you have the kind of the peace, love of the 70s, and then their children would have been the 80s, mine, where, you know, if you look at Family Ties was the show, and it was Michael P. Keaton, and it was all about me, and the movie Wall Street Greed was good. And now the next generation is your generation, and they're all about service. That's true, isn't it?
It is. I see a lot of people my age that really, instead of focusing more, I think previous generations were focusing on, hey, once I hit this age, I got to be married, I got to start a family. And now it's more of, hey, what can I do in my 20s before I kind of move into a different period in my life, and how can I serve, how can I give back, and just all different arears.
Well, we have a bunch of pictures that you gave us, and I want to get you, this is your chance to give us kind of like what I did on my summer vacation. What are we watching?
So these are some pictures of some of my kids. These are 3 of my boys at the orphanage, and it'll go through different kids. We have kids ranging from newborns all the way to 18, 19-year-olds. Our older kids are in high school, and our younger kids are in school at the orphanage where I teach. And so it just all different ages, and just really we get a chance to serve just children in need. And some of them come from really broken families, and some come from families that just can't provide for them financially. And so we have a wide range of different children, and we have many buildings on our facility. You'll see we have dining rooms, and we have some houses that you can see there. And it's a pretty good sized lot, but we have anywhere from 75 to 85 orphans there at one time. Again, ranging from all different ages. They're very cute.
So cute.
In our dining room, again, we have 2 cooks that come and feed them every day. They're working nonstop. We have 2 ladies that take care of the babies, and then we have directors, and then some volunteers like myself. And then again, we have a really great team that works to provide for our kids.
Well, I think it's wonderful, and what Prestonwood is doing by introducing young people to this and service above self, I think is wonderful. But it takes a very special person to have the bug bite you and say, "This is what I want to do." What happened?
That was just a God thing. I mean, it was from that first trip I knew, hey, it's something I want to keep doing, and I want to go back, but I didn't know what it was going to look like. And it was just one of those commitments I made. And I said, if this is where the Lord's calling me, then I'm going to follow through with that. And so it looked different every year. Sometimes it was a summer trip, sometimes it was a March trip. And then about a year ago now, I was working as a high school English teacher here in Dallas. And I just felt the Lord clearly saying, hey, it's time to go. And so I didn't know what it was going to look like. And I called Jenny after I got back from our regular Christmas trip. And I said, hey, I think now's the time. And she said, great. What do you need from me? And so then it was in June was when I officially moved, finished out the year. And then I went, not really knowing what I was going to do, and ended up being an English teacher and working with some of our older kids at the orphanage. And so that's where I am now.
That's so cool. Okay, Jenny, let's bring you back into the conversation. Do you have relationships with orphanages and locations across the globe, or?
No, so I was actually raised in Honduras.
Okay,
so my
gotcha.
parents moved me down. We actually drove from Hillcrest in Arapahoe in 1989, and I grew up down there. And so leading trips, I would always call my dad and say, hey, I got a group of kids, what can we do? And he knew of an orphanage in the town where they live that was run well, and that really educated the students well, loved the kids. And so he went and knocked on their door and said, hey, can I bring a group of students in? And they said yes, and that was about 15 years ago. And since then, we've continued the relationship, and it's neat seeing students go down. I have a group of 15 that's headed down in a few weeks, and we'll work with Morgan this time. So they're excited to meet an alum who they get to work with.
That's cool. Okay, Jenny, tell me your favorite story when you're back here talking about what you do. Is there a child, or is there an experience that you had?
I think one of my favorite stories of doing this with students is when they realize that, yes, we're going to serve and we're going to help, but they get so much from the Hondurans. It's really a give and take from both sides. One of the things we talk about is, yes, we're going because we've been given a lot more financially, but they've been given a lot more in many different ways. And so when students grasp that and say they have a different relationship with God, they have a different understanding of this world, those are moments that I love. They're my favorite moments of just that understanding.
That's cool. How about you, Morgan? Anybody stand out in your mind, a child that you've helped?
Oh goodness, there's a lot of children. Currently I'm helping one of our girls that graduated in 2014 and then worked in the orphanage for a couple years, and now we're helping her move on to kind of a new chapter in her life. She wants to be a kindergarten teacher, and so we've partnered with some people that said they would give financially and help us make that happen. And so we're gonna send her through a teaching certification program for 4 years, and that's kind of what's most important to me now, is moving beyond just, okay, in the orphanage, how can we help them? But once they leave and once they don't have that staff and that family that loves them there, how can we help them continue to be successful? And so that's what I'm transitioning into now. And so this is one of the first girls that I've been able to help with this, and to see the change in her already, it's very tangible and it's incredible.
Tell me about the children. I obviously I've never been an orphan. I mean, do they wake up every day dreaming about the family that will one day adopt them?
I think a lot of children do, just from talking to them. Well, so adoption is a little different over there. It's very difficult over there. But you do have a lot of my kids that go, hey, we see on TV and movies and things like that what a family is supposed to look like, and that's not what we feel. And we even have some kids, one boy that told me he left because he wanted to go find that love of a family, and that's not what he found when he got out. And so I think they do constantly feel like they're missing something, because what their life is not the same as what they're seeing projected into the world on TV, or even from some of us that go down and visit. My father comes down with me quite a bit now, and they see our relationship and they see that it's something that they're lacking. But too, then you have people like Jenny or like my father that have committed to come down there, and we can kind of try to bridge some of those gaps and go, hey, this may not be a traditional family, but you do have people that love and care about you and want to walk with you through life. And so hopefully we can, try to mend some of those just negative areas in their life.
Jenny, let's leave you with the final word. If somebody, you don't have to be, a student or a young person to get involved, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The orphanage is a really neat place. The kids, even though they've suffered incredible abuse, whether abandonment or what other type of abuse that they've suffered, they give back so much, and we gain so much by going and loving on them. And I always know that we gain a lot, but I never truly understood how much they gain from us being there. But the director has always reminded me, Jenny, you don't know the impact that you're making on these kids, and that's what's beautiful about it. It is a love, a give and take, and it is a love relationship between all of us. And so it's wonderful seeing students who've gone down when they were 14 years old, and now live down there, and being able to go visit her and see the impact that she's making down there.
And if you want to keep in contact with Morgan, she's on Facebook. We're going to throw up her Facebook page so you can take a look at it. Wonderful pictures. You can message her. She'll write back and talk to you about how you can get involved.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you both for being on the show. We'll have to have you back.
Thank
you for having us.
All right. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.